What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be part 1 of my Assassination Rogue PvP survival guide. It is mostly going to be aimed at new players, people who are new to Rogue in general, and just new to the game. But some of you seasoned rogues might still find this useful. Without further ado, let's get straight into the guide. Alright, to start us off, these are Rogue's defensive abilities. On the left side, I have defensive cooldowns, Feint not actually having a cooldown, but the rest of them being cooldowns. And on the right, I have various crowd control abilities, which can also be used to reduce your opponent's damage to you. Now, there is various ways that you can use a lot of these abilities in more ways than just defensively, obviously, and other specific situations, but I'll save that for another video as I would like to keep this video rather basic for new players. First off, cooldowns like Evasion and Cloak of Shadows, you're going to want to mostly try to use when your teammates are unable to help you. So if you're like me and you play healer rogue in 2v2 or in 3s, just like you have a healer in 3s, just the way things go, you only want to use evasion when your healer is unable to help you. That way you can cycle through more cooldowns and you're not overlapping things with your healer that your healer may use to save you. So try to use evasion and Cloak of Shadows when your healer is unable to heal you. Also, it's good to maintain feint when you're being tunneled into the ground by double DPS. In situations where you're just fighting one DPS, I usually only try to use feint when my healer gets crowd controlled and I feel like evasion is not needed. However, I will put up feint when evasion is up just to overlap and reduce damage that much more. Another thing to note is that with the Assassination artifact weapon, the trait Shadow Swiftness, after you activate Shadow Step, you get evasion for 2 seconds, which if you are conscious of where you're Shadow Stepping to, you can actually turn and face the target that may or may not charge you immediately if it's a warrior, and you can dodge some pretty big hits that way too, which can help you reduce damage a little bit more. Also, just being aware of where your healer and other teammates are positioned, you can use Shadow Step to get you out of a pinch pretty good. Another important defensive as Rogue or any class in general is your Honorable Medallion, as it breaks a crowd control effect on you, which can allow you use of key abilities like Vanish, which can allow you to sit out and wait out crowd control chains on your healer so you can get some clutch CC. Vanish's defensive capabilities greatly improved by having Subterfuge as well, as it allows you to have more access to Cheap Shot and Garrote, as it gives you more openers for 3 seconds after coming out of stealth. And so that could allow you to get maybe a sap that you wouldn't have got otherwise, or maybe you get found out of stealth and you weren't quite able to get off your Cheap Shot or your Garrote opener. You'll still be able to get it off thanks to Subterfuge. That can definitely help you out in a tight situation if you're forced to vanish with, say, bleeds on you or something that will bring you out of stealth, even if you don't even get hit with a physical attack otherwise. Moves like Kick can be used to reduce harmful spell casts that would otherwise kill you, or crowd control abilities onto your healer that would reduce healing on you. And you have access to Crippling Poison as Assassin, and Crippling Poison is a great way to slow the target, and obviously if you're moving faster than the enemy target, you can walk away at any point and line of sight on a pillar with your healer, get some heals that way. You can use Shiv, which is a honor talent, and a 70% slow for 4 seconds. It can't be blocked, dodged, or parried, so it's pretty reliable. It doesn't cost you any energy. It can allow you to create distance between you and the target and get to that pillar and get away from the target way more efficiently. And then also, if the target has no mobility skills to get to you, which takes some practice because you have to be aware of which ones the target has and how long the cooldowns on those are. But Warrior, for example, I believe charges like a 20-second cooldown. If they just charge you and you need to get away because your healer got thrown into, say, an intimidating shout like a fear for 8 seconds, or their healer, say a Mistweaver, leg sweep your healer for 5 seconds, you can just shiv the target and then create some distance and then maintain your poisons with Poison Knife, and the warrior won't be able to get to you, and you'll be able to stall out clutch crowd control chains that you would have normally lost a game, and your healer might not even have to blow any cooldowns as a result of this. However, it takes some awareness and identifying that situation, and I actually have an example to go with this. Right before I hop into that though, Fan of Knives can also be used to keep your poison maintained on multiple targets. However, it is not as reliable as Poison Knife or just generally being on your target. Anyway, moving into the clip. Alright, so here I have a game against Mistweaver Warrior. I usually try to rush down the Mistweaver in the opening because you can't, it's kind of low risk at the start of a game. Most games go into late dampening and usually you can survive if things don't go correctly. You'll see me blow evasion improperly. The purpose of the evasion was to dodge a potential leg sweep during my opening burst on the Mistweaver. However, he didn't decide to do it, and you'll just see him run away from me here in this clip. Whenever my healer gets tossed into crowd control chains, you'll see me cycling between Crimson Vial and Feint to stay alive, and sometimes also I will be using Shiv and Poison Knife to kite away the warrior. Basically, I will let the video play and I'll point out a key location further in the clip where I used Poison Knife to maintain my poisons and to kite the warrior. You'll see right here my healer got thrown into a paralysis and a leg sweep, and I knew I was going to need to reduce damage, so you'll see me use Feint here and then Crimson Vial, and I also, I believe, attempt to kite the warrior after putting out some damage here on this Mistweaver. I think the warrior goes for an intimidating shout, and I'm forced to reduce damage as I get really low. Mistweaver come off the pillar there for a paralysis, and the warrior goes for an intimidating shout off of it. It's kind of delayed thanks to my kidney shot, and you'll see now since he had to use heroic leap over there, I've created some distance and risk kiting. He breaks the slow with Blade Storm, and thanks to Crimson Vial stacking, by the time he gets back on me, it is fully stacked. And now we're just going back into this period of time where I'm pretty much waiting for Vendetta and looking for another setup to do more damage. I'm still just waiting for dampening to ramp up so I can score a kill. Here I get a big Vendetta out behind a kidney shot. I didn't really need Pain Sup here, but it was still thrown out. It's kind of going to put us in a bad situation here in a second. My healer gets tossed into a leg sweep, and I got Crimson Vial pre-stacked fully because I kind of preemptively saw that coming. I get tossed into a stun here, and I get pretty dangerously low. My healer lands a fear onto the Mistweaver, which breaks for some reason. I'm not really sure why. And I am pretty much toe-to-toe with the warrior. You'll see I have evasion up at a pretty key moment to survive a long crowd control chain. Warrior wasn't really able to hit me at all because his Stormbolt, which is the only stun he can hit me with, it goes through evasion actually, so he could have hit me during it, but since he used it beforehand, I was free to evasion afterwards. And I'm actually able to get on the Mistweaver here and do a lot of damage. I almost killed him here because dampening's ramping up even though I have Vendetta. At this point, I know that I literally just need to wait for one more stun and my next Vendetta, and I'm going to be able to run someone over. There's no chance that anyone is going to be able to heal through the damage I'll be able to put out on this next Vendetta. The only thing I need to do right now is survive. So you'll see my healer gets tossed into a crowd control chain here. I try to delay it by throwing out a kidney shot, but the healer trinkets, and I didn't want to have to use kidney that way, so you see now that I'm forced to kite. I don't really have any other option to reduce damage. I'm just kiting the warrior. I was forced to run through the eye there, which doesn't really matter in this situation. The warrior does not have charge, fortunately, since he charged me before this play here, and now I got Vendetta back up, I got kidney shot, the Mistweaver was running away, trying to get a drink, and it's going to cost this warrior his life because dampening's ramped up so far. I was able to pull so far ahead. I literally only won this game because I identified that crowd control chain and was able to kite away a lot of damage. We would have lost right there in that previous crowd control chain had the warrior been sitting on me. Well, that's going to do it for part 1 of this Assassination survival video. I hope you guys found this useful and that I went into enough detail. I'm sure I could have gone into more detail on certain abilities. I can cover that in part 2. If there's something you felt I missed, please leave a comment below and I will consider it for part 2 if I think it's relevant enough, or I will at least answer if it's a question and I feel like I don't want to add it to the video for whatever reason. Maybe it just doesn't fit the timeline. Anyway, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and like, comment, subscribe for more. I'll see you all again very soon. Have a good weekend.